welcome back to another edition of the Salt Lake Gulls here on OOTP 27. I haven't quite decided if I like Salt Lake Gulls or Salt Lake City Gulls yet. Salt Lake City Gulls kind of feels like more of a mouthful to me than just the Salt Lake Gulls, although the team that we are named after was actually called the Salt Lake City Gulls. And it might be one of those cities they're like, we refer to ourselves as only Salt Lake City, and no one calls it Salt Lake. One of those sort of local things, which I don't really give a shit about, but right now we're keeping it Salt Lake. We may add the city at some point, but for now, it's Salt Lake. And as you can see on the screen here, last episode, I forgot to show where Jerry Harris ended up signing. And as you can see, he is a Boston Red Sox. He did indeed sign a massive contract. First year at $59 million, then it goes up to $74, $88, $98 million for the final 4 years of his contract with the Boston Red Sox through his age 33 through 36 seasons. And he's got a bonus for MVP, All-Star, as you would expect. And he is a two-way guy, so he's going to be pitching and he's going to be hitting for the Boston Red Sox. We'll see if they play him at second base or if they just DH him like I was doing. But he is going to be a two-way guy, so obviously we are going to keep tabs on him throughout the duration of his career. But just taking a quick look at where his stats are after his Nationals tenure, 22.4 wins above replacement, a career 135 WRC+, 166 doubles and 177 home runs, 513 ribbies, 567 runs scored, career walk rate of 13.9, and then strikeout rate of 15. And then he's slashing for his career 273, 378, 502 for a career 880 OPS. And he's got 53 career stolen bases because we were always limiting him with that, making sure he wasn't, running himself into injuries constantly in the Nationals. And then on the pitching side of things, 9 career WAR, definitely hasn't been as good on the bump throughout his career as we know. But then this past season, 16 starts for him, did quite well. Career 4 ERA. He's a career average pitcher, essentially. But, the bat is really what moves the needle for him. But, average pitcher with a really good bat. It's definitely going to be real shitty when they get down to these years of this contract. I mean, even $59 million is crazy. But, they are the Red Sox. But also, I don't really trust the AI management to figure out how to build a team around this contract. So I'm sure the Red Sox are just going to be terrible. But, who knows? Maybe they'll be good. As I said, we will keep tabs on Jerry Harris throughout the rest of his career. Another thing I forgot to mention was that we did actually sign Yamamoto over the offseason before he obviously tore his UCL. Here he's out for the whole season, so he's not going to play anyways. I mean, he's totally cooked at this point. I just thought it would be funny to possibly maybe have Yamamoto as like a fifth starter or, a long reliever just to have on the team as a guy who is mega popular in the league and maybe help some sort of attendance, but, ends up tearing his UCL as he's been cooked for many, many years. Here we look at his pitching stats here. I mean, he was really good through 2029 and then basically 2030, it looks like he got hurt. 2031 wasn't that great. 2032 was okay. And then basically ever since 2033, he's been totally cooked. Left LA in 2034 with the deadline after being not good throughout the season. Ended up in the Miami bullpen, was pretty good. And then went to Detroit in 2035, was terrible in the bullpen. Texas in 2036 was even worse in 41 games, 79 and 2/3 innings. I mean, at 2.4 home runs per 9. Just not good. And then we signed him simply because he's popular and maybe he would be able to help. And of course, this is a UI bug I haven't seen before. It's just completely blocking this entire page. But like I said, we only signed him because he's very popular, but he's never going to play anyways. Folks, the first game in Salt Lake Gulls history is a win over the New York Yankees. A 1-0 win as Jason DeCaro goes 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 4 Ks. Ryan Dove goes 2 1/3 scoreless. Kevin Yoder goes an inning and 2/3 scoreless. And we shut down the mighty, mighty New York Yankees and Hunter Green in their rotation as the hitting didn't really do too much. Only 5 hits on the day, but enough to get it done. The only run was scored by Steve Woods. Steve Woods, our DH, looks like he got on with not a hit and not a walk. Somehow must have gotten hit by a pitch or something. I don't even know. But he got on pace somehow and ended up scoring. 2-hit day from De La Cruz as well, so the offense is definitely going to be something that struggles throughout, the early seasons of this team, but we're 1-0. You can't take that away from us. Folks, we just swept the first series in existence for the Salt Lake Gulls. We win the first game 1-0 over the Yankees. We win the second game 7-2 over the Yankees. Kiraz, however you say his name, goes 4 2/3. Not the deepest into a game, but he just strikes out 6, only allows 3 runs, or 1 run on 3 hits. And then Franco comes in and gives us 3 1/3 hitless. 2 Ks as well. Ortiz gives us an inning at the end in a 7-2 beating of the New York Yankees. A double for Gomez, home run for Saiz. That's the first home run in Salt Lake Gulls' existence. The first home run ever. Jose Saiz is the one who hits it, the 22-year-old Mexican first baseman. And then we've gotten some stolen bases by Sanchez and Kepley. All-around good stuff. 2-hit day from Saiz, a hit on the day from Kepley, Sutton, Carrizales, Gomez, Stockdale, Fittipaldi. Love to see it. And then, in the third game, a 4-1 victory, as McCutcheon goes 5 scoreless. Or I guess he gave up a run unearned. Walk 3, struck out 5 through 5. Titsworth gave us an inning of solid pitching. And then Ryan Dove with a 3-inning save to shut things out in a 4-1 victory, as Carrizales had 2 hits, and then we had a hit from Schwickrath, Woods, Sutton, De La Cruz, Kepley, and Sanchez. 2 at RBI from 3 different players. We had a triple from Dusty Sutton. Electric baseball here with the Salt Lake Gulls, opening off their existence in Salt Lake with a sweep of the New York Yankees. Well, folks, we've already got our first Jerry Harris update. 10 games into the season, he has strained his hamstring. He's out for 5 weeks, so already missing a decent chunk of time here to start off his Boston Red Sox tenure. Alrighty, folks, it did not take very long for our first long-term pitching injury, as Billy Meador, who is one of our expansion selections from the Tampa Bay Rays, big-time control prospect pitcher, tore an elbow ligament. He is out for 9 months. Folks, we are officially through the month of April here in the first month of existence for the Salt Lake City Gulls, which I have now changed to be Salt Lake City, mainly because when I was looking at players' stats, like I would just click on a random guy here, and I would see just SL as the abbreviation. I was like, SLC kind of makes more sense, so we're just going with Salt Lake City as the official team name. We're not changing what the actual logo is, where it says Salt Lake and it says Salt Lake on the jerseys, but SLC is the official team city name. But Marcos de la Cruz here, as I was showing in the Mail and News, he is the rookie of the month. In the month of April here, 2037, he has been fantastic for us. A 143 WRC plus, 2 doubles, 7 home runs, 22 runs driven in, and 16 runs scored himself for a 902 OPS. And he is also playing a solid center field. So Marcos de la Cruz kind of solidifying himself as the first, true dude here on the offense here in Salt Lake City. And then also, just overall, the team has been playing pretty solidly. As we knew, we started off with that sweep of the New York Yankees. Then we drop a series to Cleveland, whatever. Drop a series to Boston, whatever. Drop a series to Detroit. But then we take a series from Colorado. Lose a series to Seattle. Sweep the Royals. Take a series from Texas, sweep Minnesota on the road, and now we have a chance to win a series over the Chicago White Sox here, as the rubber match is on this Friday. Let's just sim through that real quick, see how it goes. And we lose at 5-8, so not quite going to get the series win. But, the team overall been playing pretty solid. 18-12. We're actually first place in this new American League West division. I don't even know what to say. I mean, obviously, it's very early. Things are going to change. I'm sure our lack of hitting is going to be a problem down the stretch. And then also just, our starting pitching. But who knows? Maybe we're going to be a bit scrappier than I thought we were going to be. And then I also do want to highlight a potential really good waiver claim that we've gotten here from the Colorado Rockies. They waived this 26-year-old, almost 27-year-old Dominican outfielder. And I was like, this guy is, he doesn't have really the speed we're looking for, but he's above average runner, 55 speed, 55 base running, 60 steal ability, high work ethic, baseball IQ. He's got 65 outfield range, horrible arm, slightly below average arm, I should say. Not horrible, but, never going to be a great arm in the outfield, but he's got good range. He could play first base as well. Lefty guy. And we claimed him off waivers. He is now playing in the outfield for us right now. He's only played 4 games. He hasn't gotten off to the hottest start here in his 4 games. Didn't really do too well in Colorado either, but we're going to give him a chance. He is coming off a decent season, I believe. Yeah, he had an okay season with Colorado last year in 2036. And we're hoping that we can make him a dude for us here in Salt Lake City with this big-time gap power and also some decent swinging, or some decent bat-to-ball skills as well, and some potentially decent power. He's 26, though, so I'd imagine that this power and eye potential are probably a bit fake, but we're going to see how he goes. Ricardo Naro. And then just to highlight a couple pitchers here, just to show guys that have gotten off to hot starts here at the Gulls. Drew Titsworth out of Clemson, 32 years old. He has been phenomenal. Obviously walking a bit too many guys, but through 12 2/3, really good ERA plus and really good FIP minus. That's a .71 ERA and a 3.36 FIP. So he's been fantastic for us. And then we also have Logan McCutcheon, who has been our best starting pitcher. Remember, he won a rotation spot because he had a good spring training. Am I going to be able to see that? Yeah, spring training, 14 innings, had a 1.29 ERA with a 1.83 FIP. And we were like, all right, let's give this guy a chance. He did that even with a pretty high BABIP. So I figured, hey, why not give this guy a chance? And so far here through 6 starts in the big leagues, here in April, he has been quite good. 1.75 ERA plus, 72 FIP minus. That's a 2.53 and a 3.12. The BABIP much lower than it was in spring. He's striking out a decent amount of guys. He's got some really good percentile rankings as well. Never going to be a super hard thrower, but he's getting the job done. And we're enjoying it here. Logan McCutcheon at Missouri State University, so far, been our best starting pitcher. And then I should also talk about some of the relievers here, like Robinson Ortiz, the old man. He's been in this series, or in this universe, for a long time for us. And the lefty still getting it done here. Only 8 2/3 innings, but, getting it done in those 8 2/3. And then also Porter Hodge, as I predicted, doing pretty well as our closer as well. 9 appearances, 8 2/3 innings. Been pitching well for us. So we'll see how long we can keep this up here. Kind of just LARPing our way to the top of the division here in the American League West. Alrighty, folks. As you can see, it is July 11th, which means it's time for the first-year player draft here in 2037. But before we do that, it's time to go over how our Salt Lake City Gulls have been doing here through the first half-ish of the season. And as you can see, we're 1 game under 500, 47 and 48. So overall, not too shabby of a first half for us here in Salt Lake City. Overall, not the best team, minus 61 run differential. We are outplaying our Pythagorean by quite a bit right now. We're a +6 on that. We are terrible against lefties, decent against righties. We're 5-5 in our last 10. We are playing pretty solidly in 1-run games, 6-2 in extra innings, and 23-16 in 1-run games, which is going to definitely help the Pythagorean when you're playing that well in 1-run games. So, overall, the team, we know it's not good. We're an expansion team. We do not have good players, but we're definitely overplaying or outplaying our projections at the moment, as we're only 1 game under 500. No longer top of the division, but, within striking distance. Not that we're, going for that. If we take a look at the wildcard standings, we are currently not in a wildcard spot, as you have the 4 division winners, and then there are 2 wildcard teams. So right now the Rockies and the Twins are in that spot. So, technically we could chase down either the A's or the Rockies, because they're both in front of us. Or no, the Rockies are in the Central. Never mind, they're not in the West. But we could potentially chase down one of these teams. But, we're 4 games back. We're not, trying to do that. We're not going to be making moves at the deadline to like pursue a playoff spot. I mean, at least I don't think. But right now, we'll take it. We'll take where we are at the moment. And if we take a look at our team stats here, you can see April was very good. 17-11, struggled in May, kind of treaded water in June, and now so far here in July we're 5-5. And you can see we have some stats that are okay, you know? Nobody strikes out less than us. That's to be predicted with this big-time bat-to-ball skill emphasis that we're doing here in Salt Lake City. So, you know, we're always going to be top of the, or not top, but like, you know, always towards the top of the list for least amount of strikeouts as a hitting, or as a group on offense, I should say, as we are first right now. 6th in stolen bases. Base running is not too hot because, you know, usually when you have the base running cranked up super aggressive, your base running tends to not be very effective as you are running into outs. But, you know, we're going to keep it as it is right now, see how it goes, see if we can make it work as we build this team up throughout the years. But obviously the rest of the offense, just terrible, just truly terrible. And then the pitching side of things, been a bit scrappier than I think most people thought. You know, I thought our team could be pretty decent. We definitely have some players that are not doing so hot, but others that are performing quite well. As you can see, 9th in ERA overall, 7th with the bullpen. And then we have some decent, like, underlying stats, like we have the 5th least amount of hits allowed, 5th lowest opponent's average, the 2nd lowest opposing BABIP. We have the 2nd best defensive efficiency with the 7th best zone rating. And we are committing a bit of a decent amount of errors, which is disappointing. But overall, you know, could be worse on the pitching side of things. Home runs definitely need to get that reeled in. Our walks need to get that reeled in as well. We need to have... You know, my general rule of thumb is that in order to have a good pitching staff, you need to have at least 2 of these 3. You need to pick 2 of these 3, home runs allowed, base on balls, and strikeouts, that you are going to limit. You know, if you're going to be a big strikeout and limit home runs a guy, then you know, maybe you can be walking people. But you need to be able to do these effectively. So right now, we're not doing those. And then, you know, it's first year existence. Things will improve as we go on. But, you know, I'll say it's a pretty decent start to our organization here in year 1. So let's take a look at this pitching staff here, sorting by innings pitched. The most innings pitched for us on the season so far, with 100 on the dot, is Ryan Murphy, who is the big-time control guy we picked up from the Nationals organization, 28 years old. And, you know, he's been whatever. Around league average, a little bit worse than league average with the 5th, a little bit better than with league average than the ERA. You know, we'll take it. He's been solid. He's doing there. He's eating innings. We're not expecting any of our guys to be like best pitchers in the leagues, but he's in there eating innings for us, getting it done. We will absolutely take that. Same with Jason DeCaro. He's actually been quite decent for us. You know, not type Cy Young numbers like he was doing previously in his career, but, you know, bit of a okay season for him. 19 starts, 1.5 wins, 111 ERA plus, 96 FIP minus, so better than league average with both of those. We will take it for Jason DeCaro here. He might be a guy we look to trade at the deadline here. He's an expiring free agent. I doubt we re-sign him, but I mean, maybe we do, but probably more so going to look to see what we could get for him at the deadline. But, you know, I always say that, and then I look at who we can get at the deadline, and it's like, oh, just a bunch of horrible players. So maybe we hang on to him. We'll have to see. And then we take a look at Hector Gomez. He's actually been pretty decent. The FIP has been pretty solid for him. You know, our starting pitchers have been treading water. Nobody's been truly terrible, so that's really all you can ask for at the moment. Hector Gomez, one of those. Kiraz, also big-time control. Once again, not walking anybody, treading water, not being bad. And then we have Logan McCutchen, who has been like our number 2 starter. Him and DeCaro have been the 1-2 guys for us, as McCutchen has a 1.5 wins. And he's better than league average with the ERA and the FIP. So we will take that for him. And then taking a look at our bullpen members, Ryan Dove has the most innings out of all those guys with 71. And he has been doing his job. You know, he's going to walk a decent amount of guys, but he is going to strike out a ton as well, as he's come in there as our lefty stopper, and he has been really, really good for us. Unfortunately, Kevin Yoder as our right-handed stopper has not really been great. He just has not been able to really succeed in that role, giving up way too many home runs. We expect the strikeout rate and the walk rate to both be high, but the home runs have ticked up a little bit this season, and he hasn't really been great. And not that he was ever really a stopper role to begin with. That's not his ideal role, but he's just there for us. And maybe we can at some point get a trade for him. Probably not, but wishful thinking. And then the rest of the bullpen, Drew Titsworth, he's still been quite good for us. A 2.16 ERA plus and a 77 FIP minus. Really good bullpen member. He actually has one more year of team control, so he is not an expiring free agent, and he might end up being like our closer or something next year. We will have to see, because right now our closer is Porter Hodge, and he's been pretty solid. 58 FIP minus, that's a 2.34 ERA and a 2.62 FIP. And really, really good percentile rankings. He is also a guy who is not an expiring free agent, though. So him and Drew Titsworth might be a decent part of our bullpen next year as well. And also Porter Hodge is a local guy, so it's a good story. Local popularity, well-known. Definitely a fan favorite here at the Gulls, as Porter Hodge has been getting it done. 15 saves, 17 shutdowns. We'll take it. Absolutely. And then we have Travis Williams. He's been okay, came over from Washington in their organization, 26 years old, finally getting his chance in the big leagues here. Been solid, 87 FIP minus. We will take that absolutely. And then we have Robinson Ortiz, the old man, getting it done as the lefty in like a setup high leverage sort of role. He's been solid for us. He is a guy who used to be with our Nationals team and was a lefty in our bullpen for a long, long time over there, and then left for a few years and now ends up back with us with the Salt Lake City Gulls, doing his thing, pitching pretty well for us. So Robinson Ortiz, hell yeah. And then we have these two guys, Berrien and Blazer, who just recently got called up. I mean, there's really no point in even talking about them. They were both pitching quite well in AAA. Got a chance here in the big leagues. They've both pitched barely any time at all in the big leagues. We'll see how they do for the rest of the way down, because we sent down two players in Vinny Diaz and CJ Franco. As you can see here, Vinny Diaz just wasn't really getting it done in the big leagues. And, there is something to say to be like, maybe we should just let him pitch in the big leagues, develop, and, it's not like we're going to try to win anything anyways, so it's probably best to just, pursue development and give this guy chances in the big leagues. But also at the same time, I don't really know. We're just putting him in AAA. He's 24. He has options. So why not give him some AAA time? He may end up back in the big leagues here, but he is dominating at the AAA level in their rotation, so maybe that'll help him develop. We shall see. And then CJ Franco, same deal with him. Was not doing so hot in the big leagues here, but then in AAA, 6 starts, dominating it down in the rotation. I should also mention we do have a couple injuries, or we'd have one injury at the big league level. We have had a couple injuries throughout the season, but right now it's just Pablo Carrizales, who has a strained back. He'll be out for a week. And then also he just has not been good for us this season, unfortunately. 23 years old. Thought he was going to be a decent slap hitter for us. Who could play some decent infield for us, and he is playing a really good infield, 5 ZR, the third base position, even playing some good shortstop when he has to spot games there. But overall, offensively, not too hot for Pablo Carrizales. We picked up from the Giants in the expansion draft. And he will be playing third base when he comes off the IL, but we'd like to see some improvements with the bat for him. But then taking a look at our hitting side of things, sorting by wins above replacement, Marcos de la Cruz has solidified himself as a dude in this league. 27 years old, finally getting his chance here in the big leagues after 3 years in AAA with with White Sox. With the White Sox organization, I guess Kansas City signed him in the offseason. Traded by the White Sox to the Royals, along with a couple other players, they did a 2-for-2 trade with the White Sox, and then we took him from the Royals in the Rule 5 draft. He was our number 1 selection, I believe, but he's been our center fielder, and he's been doing the damn thing here. 2.3 WAR, 128 WRC plus, 16 doubles, 12 home runs. Did not mean to back out of that. 47 ribbies, 41 runs scored. He's walking a decent amount with a 369 OBP, striking at 17% of the time, 874 OPS. and playing a really solid center field as well. 3ZR, we will take it. He did miss a little bit of time with a elbow inflammation injury, but he is back now and hitting third in our lineup and doing his thing. Number 1, Marcos de la Cruz, the first legit guy here on the offense with the Salt Lake City Gulls. And then we also have Ibert Sanchez, who, like I said, I believed in because he was very Dylan O'Reilly-like, and he's starting to prove his worth here. He's in a total platoon. Does not play against lefties at all, but here against righties, doing his job. 1.8 or 1.7 wins above replacement, 119 WRC plus. It's a 135 against righties. 19 doubles, 3 home runs, 18 ribbies, 37 runs, and getting on base at a good clip, 379, 16% strikeout rate, 821 OPS. Really, really hot BABIP, obviously, but swiping some bags, doing his job, and we will take it. Playing second base for us. The one thing about him is that his defense is not great at second base, but, you know, you look at his ratings, and you're like, he should be able to hang there, so maybe it's just like a one-off sort of thing, and he'll figure it out eventually. But we like him at the second base position, at least in a platoon, because he can't really hang against lefties. He can walk, but he can't really hit too well. So we definitely want him in a platoon at that second base spot. And then we take a look at Dusty Sutton as this really falls off a cliff here. Dusty Sutton, 68 WRC plus, 21 doubles though, but it's really all defense with him that's giving him a .8 WAR. I mean, he's just, you know, all base running and glove for him. It is what it is. He's a high leader. Being a glove first shortstop, we'll take it, I guess. Even with this 271 OBP, he's got 23 swipe bags, so that's pretty freaking crazy. Even at a decent pace, too, at 82.1 rate. And then we also have Nick Casson, who's actually been quite a decent bat for us. He's platooning against right-handed pitching as a left-handed bat, and he's doing his job. 118 against righties, 8 home runs, 6 doubles. Did miss a little bit of time with a strained abdominal muscle injury, but he is now back in the lineup for us, doing his thing as a decent bat for us in the corner outfield spot. And then Jerry Mendoza, been around a league average hitter for us. He is 106 WRC plus here with us, 13 doubles, 24 ribbies, doing his thing. Not the speed profile that we would like, but he's a captain, so definitely useful to have. Really good corner outfielder, really good bat-to-ball skills with gap power, but a lefty hitter. That is one thing we definitely need to figure out in the offseason, is that we have a lot of lefty bats on this team, especially when you combine them with the switch hitters. Just a ton of lefties, especially in the outfield. As we move things on to take a look at Harley McGee, who is taken over for Jose Saiz at first base, who is not doing so hot. And Harley McGee has been actually really, really good for us, slashing 316, 372, 496, and he has 12 doubles. We'll take it. In only 131 plate appearances. He's going to keep playing for us at first base and see how he does for the rest of the year, as a 31-year-old finally getting his first chance in the big leagues here after spending a lot of years in AAA with the Columbus Clippers, with the Guardians organization, which is where we got him from in the expansion draft. And then move things on to Manny De Los Santos, who has been called up recently, was doing good in AAA. He's been mainly like a bench bat for us, but he's a switch hitter, plays a good defense, good speed. He's around here. He's a useful player to have. And then there's Poto Fittipaldi, who is basically swapping every other day with Neil Jones at the catcher position. Fittipaldi did have a decent start to the season, I want to say. I think like April was pretty decent. He had a decent amount of home runs, but ever since then he's kind of really just come back down to earth, and he's really all glove at this point. But some of these percentile rankings aren't too bad, so we'll definitely keep an eye on him here. 22 years old, the Venezuelan Italian catcher. Some Francisco Cervelli type vibes. And then we have Neil Jones, who is not so hot, but he's just intriguing because he's a really good defender, and he is really, really fast as a catcher as well. And they're both switch hitters, too. So they're swapping like every other day at catcher until one of them basically solidifies themselves as the catcher. And then we take a look at Brewington here. Whatever. He's doing okay against lefties, where he's mainly playing against lefties, but percentile rankings not great. Not looking too hot for Tyler Brewington here. This Liberos Aponte, we just recently called him up because of an injury, but he'll be back then in AAA at some point, or maybe, I don't know, we'll see. And then Ricardo Naro, unfortunately, has just not done anything for us. 194 plate appearances, only a 79 WRC plus, 11 doubles. Not so hot for him. Even with a high BABIP, still not hitting very well for us. The average is pretty decent, but the slugging, even with the 75 gap power, which is why he's here. You know, if we wanted a slap hitter, we would be playing somebody else. But he's got that 75 gap power, and right now it's just not translating, unfortunately, with some poor percentile rankings as well. And then Steve Woods. I mean, this guy is basically just in the lineup right now because he has some pop with 17 home runs. After spending a bunch of time in the Red Sox organization, back-to-back years in Worcester, and now here with Salt Lake City, got 17 home runs, 47 ribbies at the big league level, but it is all counting stats for him, as he is only an 83 WRC plus and a negative win player as a DH, as he just is the full-time DH for us at this point because Jose Gomez was just not getting it done, and he's in AAA for us. But some good percentile rankings here. Some max exit velo, 94th percentile. Home run fly ball rate is really good. But definitely, you know, strikes out a shit ton. Walks a decent amount, I guess. But, you know, really just here to hit home runs at this moment. But we may... The thing about him, though, is he is a Rule 5 draft, so we can't just send him down. So he's probably going to stick as the... DH for us for the rest of the season. Also realizing he's from Utah. Did not realize that, but, you know, another local guy. A little bit better popularity than nationally here probably because he's from Utah. As I mentioned with Jose Saiz, you know, he wasn't too terrible at the big league level, but overall wasn't getting it done and had a negative WAR. Was playing a horrible first base to the point where he had a negative 2.4 ZR at first base, which is just crazy to me, and just wasn't hitting. So we gave McGee a chance, and as we saw, McGee's been tearing the cover off the ball ever since he came up from Tucson. I mentioned Jose Gomez, who I thought was going to be a pretty decent bat for us with this gap power, but he's another guy who just really wasn't getting it done, and he is a guy who has options, or we used his last option for this year, but he is in AAA for us. Not even really doing anything down there either, so unfortunate to see for him. One guy that I would like to eventually find a spot for in the big leagues here is John Gallardo, first baseman who really can't even play first base. He's just a true DH at this point because he can't even really play the outfield. But lefty bat, which is definitely an issue because we just have so many lefties, but really good personality class, and he is tearing the cover off the ball in AAA here. Look at all these percentile rankings. 92nd average exit velo, 99th percentile max exit velo, 97th percentile home run fly ball rate, 98th for barrel percentage, and then 96th for hard hit percentage, and then some 87 and 85 for expected slugging and walk percentage as well, or walk rate, I guess is how you would say. You could say percentage too, it doesn't really matter. And he's got some speed too, so John Gallardo here, very intriguing player. I would like to get him up in the big leagues. If Steve Woods was just a regular guy, not a Rule 5 guy, we would just send him down and have Gallardo DH full time. We may have to get creative with it at some point because we would like to see what Gallardo can do at the big leagues because he has been tearing up the minor leagues here. Last year with Pensacola, you can see here really, really good percentile rankings, and he's just doing the same damn thing here in AAA. But with better base running value here with Tucson in 2037. So we would like to see him get up to the big leagues, but we'll see if we can make it work. As far as some of the other guys that got some major league time at the big league level, Josh Schwickrath, you know, never did anything for us. He's just a depth guy to have at the moment. Joe Stockdale played a little bit for us. He wasn't doing anything either, so he's in AAA at the moment as a depth outfielder. But now it is time to do our first-year player draft here. We do not have a top pick because we did not select to have the expansion teams be shot up to the top of the draft order, so we actually have a back end of the first-round pick, with the Stars going 37th and us going 38th, as the Minnesota Twins are the ones selecting number 1 overall. So let's jump into it here. The Twins, number 1 overall, select Nate Amons, a college starter out of Dixie State University, which I believe is in Utah. It is St. George, Utah, Dixie State. 22 years old, sure. Looks like he could be a really good pitcher for them. And now we are here for our 38th overall selection. The Nashville Stars took this big bopper, three true outcomes, Danny Myers, who's going to have just a completely terminal avoid K rate for him, which is going to completely destroy his ability. I mean, maybe they'd call him up because he has this insane power and eye, but who knows? Danny Myers, switch hitter, he's their number one overall selection, while we have a selection of, there are some decent pitchers here. There's this guy could be a really good reliever. We might go that route and get like a good quality reliever, or we could go and get something like, I guess there's like a high school starter. So it's really just pitchers that are all these potential ratings. If we go look at just hitters, all the hitters are already down to 45 potential. So like none of these guys are going to be too intriguing. Yeah, like Victor and Sierra, Gabe Bach. I mean, yeah, impossible signee anyways. None of these guys are really super intriguing for us. Are there any like big time infield range guys? I mean, there's some 40 potential guys, but they're not 45s. There's this guy who's already hurt. I guess he got hurt. He must have just got hurt in the MLB Draft League here. But yeah, maybe this Mike Engbrock guy could be a potential selection. End of first round. Josh Sneed, maybe. Possibly. Matt Cofield, probably not. What about outfielders? Yeah, once again, just a bunch of 40 potential guys that are the big-time defenders. What about catcher framing? Here we go. 70 framing, catcher Rick Phillips. Could be a guy for us. Maybe, maybe not, but I mean, he's really just all of a glove. Maybe has a little bit of pop to him. Could potentially be our guy we take here, but I think we might just go with pitching and see if we could get ourselves a pitcher here. Like, I'm tempted to just take this Dan Washington guy, even though we don't know exactly what this stuff is going to be. He's 21. He is fragile, though. Only 30 stamina. Not great potential or personality traits, rather, I should say. But, I mean, these potential ratings are definitely very intriguing. So we may take him. Josh Greer could be intriguing as well. He's not fragile. And, 65 potential. He's got the 35 stamina, so he could be a stopper type guy for us. Josh Greer's probably the better option there, if I had to guess. Fragile, high schooler, definitely not. High school reliever, probably not going to take him. This guy's got a cool name, Slavic Lunke. High leader work ethic, but only 30 stamina. Probably prefer the Greer guy if we're going to go reliever. And then, there's a college starter here. This guy's already got shoulder inflammation. Not great control. Probably not interested in him. Yeah, once again, high school starter, impossible signee as well. And then we just got some relievers here, like Scott Volpe. Yeah, I think we should take Josh Greer, honestly. Our scat thinks we should take Scott Michael. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think we should take Josh Greer. He's going to be our guy. 35 stamina, potential stopper option for us. And that's really the only reason why we're taking him over Dan Washington. Well, that and this guy only has 30 stamina. He has bad personality. Greer has bad personality too, but it's more so just his greed that's bad. It's not like he has bad work ethic or anything like that. But Greer has the 35 stamina, plus he's not fragile. So we're going to take Josh Greer out of the University of Southern Mississippi, meet his demands, and then move things on to our second round selection, where some of these guys are still here, like Russ Love, who is intriguing as a high schooler simply because he is a lefty who could be really, really good down the line for us. 30 stamina, we'd have to hope that improves, but even if it's just 30 stamina, could be a really good reliever. Yeah. Or we could just take one of these college starters and hope they develop. Like there's Danny Chavez, who's already hurt, or there's Donald Hodge, who is a really good defending pitcher. He's also a high schooler. And is a possible signee, never mind. Our scat thinks that we should take Danny Chavez, and I am kind of tempted. We could go the route of just kind of like stocking up on these relievers who could be really good, but I mean, we need starters. But the thing about this guy is that I don't know if he's going to even be a starter. Yeah, I think we're going to do it. I think we're just going to take Danny Chavez. The scat thinks we should take him, so we're going to take him. Boom. He's our guy round 2. Move things on to round 3. That Russ Love guy is no longer there. Same with that Argentinian guy who throws 100, Guerrero, whatever his name was, but this Slavic guy is still here. He's intriguing to me as a high leader, work ethic. Or let's take a look at some of these hitters. They're already down to just a few 45 potential hitters. Like this center fielder who's not really a center fielder. Horrible Void K. Yeah, none of these guys. I mean, Juan Torres, maybe. I think we might take Juan Torres just as a potential infield, like third base bat. He's got the high leader, loyalty, adaptability, low greed, decent bat-to-ball skills, good gap power they could potentially pair with this really good speed, as that's what we're trying to do here in Salt Lake City. So I think just to get a hitter in the group here, I think we're going to take Juan Torres. So he's going to be our guy, round 3. Move things on to round 4. There's still a few guys here. There's still this catcher with 65 framing who's intriguing. Definitely intriguing there. There could be this outfielder, high adaptability, work ethic. He's only a 40 though. Yeah, so maybe not. This Aaron Croy guy, 70 range. Only 60 turn DP and arm, but some really good speed. Really just all slap hit, not even a BABIP or gap power to really show for with him. But switch hitter could be a little bit intriguing. Maybe we want to take somebody like that. In the outfield, there's somebody like this Todd Durkee, who could be a really good glove first outfielder, but high leader, adaptability, work ethic. Maybe. I'll throw him on the interested list. Did not mean to do that. And then I'll throw Croy on the interested list just to have their names light up. And then there's also this Rodker guy. We'll throw him on there as the glove first potential guy. Then we'll go look at these arms. Yeah, so there's the impossible high school starting pitcher. There's this Mark Fernandez lefty high schooler. Tyler Eike. Fragile, not going to take him. That eliminates him. David Tolley at Cal Poly, lefty, college guy, 35 stamina. Movement definitely not great, but he does have some good control potential. Could be interesting. Could be interesting. If we take a guy here, it's either Fernandez or Tolley. I think I would lean Tolley simply because he has the personality. He has one better personality trait, and then he's also got the control to go with the stuff. Are there any potential... Like, let's look at these starters. Esparza, no. Justin Holt, no. Quintero, no. Rhodes, no. And Jason Smith is, I guess, maybe adaptability, work ethic, 55 control, but he's a possible signee. This guy's kind of intriguing, too, as a high schooler, but not at this point in the draft. So I think we are going to go back and take one of those hitters that we were looking at here. It's either going to be Todd Durkee, the outfielder, or it's going to be Aaron Croy, the infielder. And I think Croy is a bit more intriguing because you can actually kind of see a path to where he could be a decent major league player with these bat-to-ball skills, really good speed, could play all over the infield, even as a utility guy with 60 range, where Durkee, I mean, the bat is really going to be a total liability, and he's just all glove, and the speed's not as good. So I think we're going to take Aaron Croy. He's going to be our guy. 4th round here, move things on round 5. And we have... Yeah, the outfielder is no longer there. Who is this guy? Or not this guy, Mike Roberts. Okay, so he's a lefty-lefty guy with a really good first base potential. He's a Rhode Island. Rodker's still here. I think we might take him. We're just going to do that. We're going to take Rodker, get a catcher in to catch our prospects out of the University of Arkansas. Move things on to round 6. Alrighty, so the first ever first-year player draft for the Salt Lake City Gulls is now finished. I believe we left off after taking Rodker round 5. And then there's just a couple of guys who I guess are worth looking at here. Brian Bowman, 45 potential, decent reliever type, 60 control potential, 65 movement potential, really good at defending sack bunts. He is currently in the draft league, which we will, I don't know, I guess I'll let him play over there. Usually I like to remove from, we'll just do that. We'll remove from him, get him in the system. I don't know, he'll probably end up in, we'll probably put him in the A-ball. We'll see where he goes. But Brian Bowman, we take him round 6 out of Arizona State. Round 7, we took Cletus McConnell out of the University of Waterloo in Kitchener. I believe this is where that is. Yeah, Kitchener, Ontario. And once again, another guy who could potentially be a starter down the line. 60 control, 50 movement. We'll have to see. And then in round 8, we took another high control guy. And then from that point on, also adaptability, work ethic out of a high school in California. And then from that point on, it was just a bunch of, like, nothing. Or I guess Hearn is kind of decent looking. Zubel is kind of decent looking. And then Fairfax is kind of decent looking, I guess. And then it goes down to, like, just good personality, 60 range, high work ethic. Like, that was the rest of the draft here. So we shall see how these guys develop, but these 20 names are the first 20 names to enter our organization through the first-year player draft in our franchise. And then as a way to just end the episode real quick, Tim Wolfley, another one of our expansion selections, 24 years old, was down with Mississippi this year as a big-time control, movement potential guy we were hoping was going to pop off this year and potentially be in our rotation next year. Wasn't doing so hot in Double-A, and then also just towards UCL. So that's another pitching injury to my long list of pitching luck here in OOTP.